Welcome guys back to the Team Ham channel. I'm here with Kalvin, one of the Paradox twins from Team Ham, and he's here to show us his Steam Maiden premium deck profile that he played at Anaheim.
Yep.
And so without further ado, man, I'm pretty sure everybody wants to see this deck, so it's all yours.
Yeah. So, like you said, I played Steam Maidens into Anaheim. It was definitely the right pick. It got third place, I believe, with someone else that brought it. So just to quickly go over the deck profile first. Of course, VR starter with Cherne.
The purple one too, nice.
You run 2 TikTok workers in the deck. Having 2 definitely kind of became an issue. There was one time where I wish I had a third one, but it's fine. Triggers. Of course, the Dark State Over trigger. I ran 3 of the crit that goes to Soul. That never really came up. 4 of the crit that lets you stride because you don't want to pitch grade 3 sometimes.
Yep.
This crit is MVP, the hog crit. The counter charge, I use it every time I can, basically, because people like to leave Steam Maiden at low damage. So it's like, oh, no damage, and hog's like, nope, I have everything. So 2 Steam Maiden heals because you want to be able to grab heal triggers sometimes. The grade 3 because you can stride with it, and because it has the G Guardian or Heal Guardian effect. Came up, grade 2 game. So of course, the 4 cat.
The staple.
This card is literally the reason why the deck's so good. It's so many well, I guess the grade 2 is, but it's part of that package. The being able to top 3 for any Steam Maiden helps. And then the power actually does come up. A lot of people forget that. Okay. And then the other grade 1s, of course. I ran the 1 because it can PG D-Police, and then I ran 3 because it's Steam Maiden name, and that counter charge does come up. I try to take this down to 1 and 1 to draw trigger PG at 1, but the issue with that draw trigger PG is not a Steam Maiden, and any matchup where that guard restriction would matter if it was a 0 instead of a 1, this would have just been just as well, and neither can be searched. So I decided this was the better PG lineup.
Okay.
2 Mellum because most of the time, most of the match, you're not GB'd, you're playing grade 2 game, so she never comes up in the early game. But as soon as you're able to stride, she's MVP, getting that TikTok worker. This is my tech. The Steam Maiden, of course, I'm not saying I found her, other people knew of her, but her being able to put the grade 4 back into your deck, or put TikTok back into your deck, or whatever you're missing, is very important, and it came up clutch for me a lot in Anaheim. Against a Nightmare Doll player, he didn't know that I could just keep going, so I won the grade 2 game.
Okay.
Of course, for this grade 2,
another MVP.
She's the best Steam Maiden card that ever existed, basically.
No.
I only ran 2 copies of the other Steam Maiden. It's mainly because that bind leap is kind of awkward in the premium build. You have to set it up, and if you get it correctly, she's very useful. Don't get me wrong, I did use her in premium a lot, but you don't need her as much as you do in VR. That's why I'm not even running the grade 1 either. And then another MVP right here. He can spin any unit on your side or your opponent's side, any rear guard I should say, and then you search your deck for a grade +1 and call it. I use this guy all day, every match I can think of. He came up, he helps make your board, helps destroy your opponent's board.
So quick question, why not as a 4 of and only as a 2 of?
Because his Counterblast Soul Blast does become an issue because it eats into your better grade 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then some 1-ups that definitely came up. Her, because she gets Soul. Like I said, Soul becomes an issue, especially if you're spamming out the better grade 2's Soul Blast, reveal 2, bind 1, add 1. And her guard restriction, it never came up for me, but it definitely could come up. Like there's times where you call it, when you have like 2 force markers, you call it off the grade 4 in the main deck, it gets +10, so it's swinging like 40, 50k if you hit a crit on it and guard restrict them. So it can get a pretty weird win con, but it's all right. The other grade 2, he came up a lot. Like this grade 2 came up more than you think it ever would. And as a 1-up, I saw it basically every match. He can retire any opponent's rear guard by discarding the equal grade to it. And on attack, he can soul charge. So again, it fixes the soul issue just like the other one. But his when place effect is Vanguard 2. So when you ride down, you can ride into him and snipe something. So like you can ride him on like a grade 2 turn or call him to rear guard, snipe something, put it back and drop, re-ride it, snipe something again, really destroy a board. And then grade 3s, the main grade 3 is of course the Steam Maiden that lets you ride down. Main thing is letting you stride by pitching anything better than Chrono Jet, surprisingly. But it forces you to ride down to a grade 2, but you can choose one from drop, so you can pay cost and then just re-ride anyways, so it's kind of broken.
Alright.
Not much else to really say about her, just having the Steam Maiden name is why she's so important, besides that striding and riding down. She's how we win all of our grade 2 games. Colossus, the Piano Man, he comes up in Premium way more than V-Era, because we can just time leap into him by the traditional bind time leap or by the grade 2 like sending, getting a grade 3, and then he sets up your bind zone. So that's how you can get like a grade 3 early into your bind zone, or the grade 2 that goes up to a 3. It's really helpful. This is a 1-up that I was running. It's another Steam Maiden target. So there's another grade 3 you can ride with Steam Maiden. And the main thing I like about her is she becomes a grade 1. So on place, it's not GB. The GB skill is to gain 4k on attack. The non-GB, she becomes a grade 1. So then it lets you go back down. So you can go up to a 3 and then back down to a 1. And then you can kind of reclimb old time leap style. And then, of course, 4 copies of the best grade 4 currently.
2 copies.
Or, sorry, 2 copies of the Time Leaper. His ability alone is already amazing. By being able to just spin any of your rear guards, call something +1 of that, and get +10 is already just stupid good. But then you can do, like, pretty crazy plays. I've gotten a lot of people by calling him. Because they think there's only going to be 1 more attack with him. He's only going to call 1 more rear guard. But then you call him to the side that doesn't have your force markers, because he's going to give him +10. And then you use his ability to spin something else and make another column. So you can get 5 attacks or more on this.
Very nice.
Into the G zone. Of course, you run Schlishma. She's our best stride. She lets you basically call 2 from your bind zone and your whole front row gains 10. That 10k definitely matters. And the double call is a lot more than just 2 attacks. Everyone knows if you're going to flip 1, you're going to try to call grade 3s with a grade 2 that goes into a 3. So really, it's like she's calling 4+ attacks if you have a TikTok worker. So best stride in the deck for sure. And she's basically free. 1 history build when your bind zone is just not it. So you can still make a first stride play that doesn't cost counterblast. And then I run 1 Surprise. I actually used it in Anaheim against a Shadow Paladin player. He didn't want to ride up, and then he forgot to ride or couldn't ride on his grade 2 turn or something. I forgot. So I Surprised him and killed him on this stride.
People running Sabri still, dang.
So I try to run some cards to help me in the control matchup. I didn't want to just auto lose to control decks like Mega Colony and stuff. So I ran Riding Clock. His guard restriction could catch people if you see they're running the PG draws. And that crit definitely comes up. So that's 1. This is another one. He lets you shuffle your deck, bind the top 4 cards, and whatever you bound, your opponent can't guard with from hand that in turn for his battle. So there's times where you can just swing this, and then you hit 0-1, and then your opponent just like cries, and if they don't have G guards.
That's it.
And then this is my tech for a control matchup again, especially looking towards Link Joker. It just basically is a CB1 spin their entire board back. You have to flip 1, so that's why I run 2 of it. But spinning a whole board back in certain decks can definitely hurt, but it definitely didn't come up. You could take that out and run more G guards. I ran Dust. I could have used them, but I chose not to because Schlishma is just better most of the time for you. But that putting him down to a 1, taking away G guards is very helpful. I wish I would have saw or been able to get into this in my deep please matchup because it would have stopped him from doing all that shenanigans, but it is what it is.
Yep, it is what it is.
So G guards, I just ran a bunch of 1-ups. So I wanted to have variety in the G zone, but I couldn't decide on any to take out. I can tell you that with all these G guards, almost all of them came up. I G guarded with almost all of them. The only one I didn't G guard with is Chimera in Anaheim, and that's because I never fought a deck where I needed to Chimera something. But yeah, so her being able to search out a TikTok won me a game because having that TikTok on the Slishma turn made it lethal. And then her being our biggest shield value came up. I needed that to guard something. Barrel Lock definitely came up. I used it several times. I used this at least twice in Anaheim. Putting a trigger back into the deck is definitely helpful. I put a TikTok and a trigger back with this.
You can return the OT if it's in drop too.
Yeah, if the over trigger's in there, you can spin it back too. And then the Chimera for the Nightmare Doll matchup and for like Spike Brothers, spinning back their stand trigger or the Dexter. So that was definitely a lot for them to deal with. If you can run more G guards, there's definitely some other ones I would run, but for sure you have to run those 5. I don't see why you wouldn't. Quick thing with that grade 1 is she can put back anything. The counter charge, like you wish your opponent will give it to you, but most of the time they kind of won't. But her effect to put anything back in the deck is super good because there's times where you put the grade 4 back, there's times where you put a PG back, an over trigger back, and your opponent would be like, man, I would, but I don't want to give you a counter charge. And it's like, oh, well, I'm still doing it. I'm going to get what I want. So I'm going to go over rounds real fast.
Okay.
So in Anaheim, there was 8 rounds for premium.
Dang.
Round 1, I fought Aqua Force, and I won because on my grade 4, I hit double crit. So it pushed him to 5, and he couldn't guard it. Round 2, I fought D-Police, and I lost. D-Police is definitely a rough matchup when you don't kill them on their first Geomaglass turn. Like, if you don't kill them that following turn, you're basically going to lose. The PG breaking is stupid. So if you don't get the, whatever it's called, PG, you can't guard them, basically. You can try, but you know Deep Police.
Yeah, they swing big numbers.
And they always break.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And then for round 3, I fought Raging Form, surprisingly. I didn't think I would fight a Raging Form. But I know that in Premium it's pretty good because you can get like a 4 restand play thing. But he was unfortunately grade stuck on 2. He was the player I Sabreezed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how it happened. He was stuck on 2, and then he forgot to reride. He rode a grade 2 again one turn, but then he didn't do it the next turn, so I Sabreezed him. Now it's game there. So round 4, I fought DI. The DI player, I rushed him because I knew that I know how DI works. I used to play it. If you don't have the hand, guess what? You can't hit 13 soul.
Yeah.
So if you push them hard enough, quick enough, they can't have enough pieces to hit 13. And what do you know? He didn't hit 13, swings no life pass, dies on Slishma. Round
4 agrees.
Round 5, I fought Raging Form again. A completely different guy playing Raging Form.
Damn.
He didn't know. I guess he never fought Steam Maidens before. So the ride down play messed him up. He went grade 3, tried to stride. Like, he already pitched and was like, pitch, stride. I was like, stop. Grade 2. So he played his turns thinking he was going to stride. And then now being like, oh, I can't stride. He like had to think for a little bit and try to redo a strategy. And it just
didn't work out for him.
Yeah, that wasn't it.
Rip.
And then round 6, I fought a Bermuda player. It was a Revier kind of like ride-up deck instead of like the Ange build. He went grade 3 first, and he just gave me first stride, and he thought he would survive the Slishma. But I had like optimal Slishma setup. So it was just way too many attacks. He almost was able to guard it. I was just like, I think 1 or 2 attacks more than he could guard. So
dang.
he died. And then round 7, I fought a mirror match. It was a Steam Maiden mirror match, and I was grade stuck on 1. So I went second into the matchup, and then I G assisted for a 1. Luckily I hit, but I hit the grade 1 that sends stuff back into the deck. So I didn't get a value. Like if I would have hit a cat there, that would have helped kind of replenish. But yeah, so I didn't get value there. We grinded out. Like I think at the end of the game he had 3 force markers on his field. So we grinded, but it was just I was too far behind. So he got it.
It happens.
And then round 8, I fight Nightmare Dolls, and he didn't think Steam Maidens win the grade 2 game. He thought Nightmare Dolls wins that. He realized he wasn't going to win it, so then he went all out and rode the other grade 3, the one that on an end of battle can call 2 out, and like he just tried to like kill me last push. That didn't work for him. I survived it barely because I hit a defensive crit trigger, and then my turn he was dead. So
damn, rough.
Overall, 17th place with Steam Maiden X2. It's a pretty good tourney for me. Unfortunately, just the G assist against that Steam Maiden hurt, and the D police
doing D police things. Yeah. Well, man, that sounds like you had a lot of fun though at the tournament overall.
Yeah, for premium for sure. Day 1, I don't want to talk about it.
we don't talk about it.
Day 1 was terrible.
Well, I'm glad that you're back home safe and sound, and thank you so much for spending the time to go over the tournament, go over your deck profile. I'm sure there's quite a few people that will definitely take some ideas from it.
Yeah, I know the Nightmare Doll player in round 8, he actually got my deck log. I gave it to him because apparently he wanted to see it. So
that's awesome, man. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's really it of the interview / reviewing of the deck profile. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we sign out?
No, I think that'll be all for me. I mean, I wish season 2, the next events would be happening, but I have to wait until like April or so.
Yeah, at least here in Houston, around April is when we start getting our regionals for spring. So definitely looking forward to that. Well, thanks again, Kalvin. Guys, if you like this type of content, please like, subscribe, let us know in the comments down below what you think. And that's going to about do it. Take care, guys.
Peace.